All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video here on the second channel. Today, we're going to look at some online tournament results here, as we do have Toronto Regionals in a few days. So I thought it was a good time to do another video here looking at the online tournament meta for the past week, since we just had Perth Regionals and Stuttgart. And let's kind of see what decks have been doing good in this online tournament scene leading in to Toronto. How has the meta been developing and evolving since the last couple tournaments? And yeah, I'm excited to see what's been going down here in the online tourney scene. If y'all are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 19,000 subs. And I'll leave a link to Play.Limit's down below if you want to go play an online tournament for yourself. There's literally like a free new one every single day. So there you go. All right, we'll start off with the Sunny's Weekly here, which the winning deck was actually a Palkia Terapagos deck. So this is a deck that I feel like is just kind of like, it's solid. It did, get top 8. I think it's Stuttgart or Perth or something. And it's pretty good. It's not a bad, deck. It's a good beat stick deck. Palkia does have a few options with the Greninja, Cologne combo. And yeah, you're just a strong, powerful deck that just does big damage. You're a good beat stick deck. You have the consistency with Noctowl. Yeah, it's a pretty fine deck. I think really all you have to worry about is potentially just like an awkward Charizard matchup, but the deck isn't bad at all. And it was able to win the tournament here, and it looks like it was able to beat one in the finals. So it was a mirror match in the finals here. Two different lists. This one's playing a Thornton and a Turo in the deck, and has a Blood Moon Ursaluna within this one. And the other one had Kieran in it, which maybe could have made a difference. Who knows? But yeah, we do see the Palkia mirror in the finals here. Again, not a terrible deck to pick up this weekend. And then, of course, we do have a Cloth here in top 4. This deck has just been on a rampage recently. Definitely a deck that is going to continue to kind of pick up steam, I think, going to Toronto. It'll probably be fairly popular in Toronto. And I'm not surprised to see it get top 4 here. It is the build using the new Regidrago, the new Regidrago technology in the deck, to draw 4 cards. So you have more draw outs to like an Iono. You have Fez and Drago, which is like really cool. And then we got a Roaring Moon in top 4 here. Just another deck that I think is kind of like Palkia. It's like kind of underrated, not really doing anything too special and crazy, but it's like a fairly solid deck. You do have some cool plays with Baby Pekkarunt, poison trapping stuff. You have the Judge in the deck for some extra aggression with the Mooney X. Like, you got the Koraidon in there for some type coverage, Baby Moon for some one prize options. So it's definitely like a pretty like solid deck overall. Just doesn't really do anything like super crazy. Like the Palkia deck, it kind of gets the job done. It can win games. It's not a bad deck at all. Wouldn't be surprised if, a couple of those did well. Toronto, we have a Goldango in top 8. It is playing the Togekiss, of course. The best way to play Goldango. I think the Palkia build is really nice, too. But I feel like we're kind of past the point of Palkia being relevant. Palkia just doesn't give you an easier matchup into what you want to hit. Like, it's not going to help your matchup spread overall. So I think the Togekiss build is probably the correct way to play the Goldango deck right now. We do see just a 1/1 line of Togekiss. It does have a Luminion in the deck for an extra bit of supporter coverage. So I don't hate the idea of it. I'm not sold on Luminion, but yeah, it's not a bad idea either for sure. We got Control in top 8. Control always does good in online tournaments because it's open deck list and people may not know how to play against it as well. But Control is still a fine deck right now. Just potentially the lack of Regidrago is obviously going to let it do well. We do have a Drago in top 8, though. This one is playing the Exeggutor. It's got the Guja in there. Does run the Temple of Sinnoh. No jamming tower in the deck. Is playing Temple. I think Temple is going to be more standard in Drago right now, heading into Toronto, because it's better in 2 Cloth. We got a Gardevoir in top 8. Not surprised to see that. Gardevoir is, still solid right now. It'll probably pick up more play this week as we kind of head in Toronto, as I expected, because it did win Perth. This one is playing a Secret Box in the deck and a Rare Candy. It's not as turbo, though. There's no Fez or anything in the deck, but it does still have the Secret Box as the A-Spec of choice. All right, we got the Pumpkin Amy tournament here, which was won by Cloth once again. And it was the Cloth deck with the addition of the Zoroark V and the Fluttermane. The idea of the Fluttermane is it's just there for the Lost Box matchup, right? You can go Fluttermane. With Zoroark, you can Zoroark, hit hard, go into the Fluttermane, and then stop Lost Box from playing the game. That's essentially why we see the Fluttermane there, because Lost Box is not playing Iron Bundle right now. But yeah, I mean, Zoroark, pretty cool addition. I don't know how popular Lost Box is really going to be in Toronto. It's not really a deck that I'm, expecting to see a whole lot of play, but you never know. But yeah, Cloth winning a tournament, not surprised to see that. This deck is just one of the top decks right now, in my opinion. It's a very strong deck. Was able to win the tournament. It did beat Raging Bolt in the finals, so it is interesting that Raging Bolt has kind of dipped in popularity. Did make it to the finals, though. But yeah, Raging Bolt does not have the best Cloth matchup. You essentially have to take the first 2 prizes, but Cloth can easily out-trade you with the Baby Cloth doing so much damage. The matchup is tricky, and also they can deny your Pheasantipity with poison damage, which can be awkward sometimes. It's an interesting Raging Bolt, so it's playing Crispin, accompanying Flute in the deck, and a Power Glass, so they cooking with that one, jeez. All right. A couple controls in top 4 here. Interesting. We got one here with a Secret Box ace spec. We can look at the next control in the top 4. Okay, this one's a bit different. We see a bit more of a Ditto kind of deck going on here. We got the Ditto. We got Bouffalance in the deck. We got the Bouffalance that can remove energy. And then we got the Klefki in the deck there to slow the opponent down. Cool stuff, yeah. Pidgeot control with the Bouffalance seems all right. Just play Heroes Cave for the spec. Again, control's pretty good in open deckless tournaments. It's not going to be that popular in Toronto, but it does really good in the online tournaments because open deckless just makes the deck broken. And interesting enough, there's a Scovillain Dodrio deck in the top 8 of this tournament. This is actually a fairly large tournament, one of the bigger tournaments actually this week. So kind of cool to see this Scovillain EX deck make it top 8. It's not really anything like too crazy. Scovillain's kind of a fun card to play. I did a video on it before. It's got the attack Spicy Rage, does 10 plus 70 more damage for each damage counter on it. So if you do not knock this thing out, this thing does like a gajillion damage to you. And it also is both a grass and fire type, can be relevant against stuff like Charizard. It is a fun card to play. I think I did a Bad Deck Friday video on it, but yeah, it got top 8. Really cool stuff. That's pretty awesome to see. This is like, I think, the first time we've seen a Scovillain deck in the top 8 of an online tournament with the new Scovillain. And it's got Dodrio, which we haven't really seen a Dodrio deck, so that's cool. The top 8 was, like, I guess not bad for it, other than maybe the Cloth deck. I would imagine, like, every other deck is, like, not even that bad of a matchup for the deck. Then we do have a Terapagos deck here in top 8. Another deck that just seems pretty solid, kind of like Lugia. It's in that Lugia vein of, like, the deck's good, it's just not as good as it used to be. But, yeah, Terapagos still kind of just seems good. It's got the Bouffalance in there, so I think Bouffalance overall pretty good in the deck. There's a Guardian top 8, of course. The name of the person was literally Guardy Lover. It was the slow Guardy list. Looks like it's the same 60 that we saw Kato win Perth with, which I would expect to see a little bit more slow Guardy going forward, though I still think Turbo Guardy is maybe better, but is what it is. And then we got a Snorlax in top 8 with no Rotom, no Mimikyu, and no Ogre Pawn, just 4 Snorlax. Okay, that's crazy. Just all in on the Snorlax package. I guess you can free up more space for more supporters. That's actually kind of crazy. Going on the tournament, the Challenge of Doom, and the winning deck was Control. Again, Control really good in the online tournament scene. It's crazy. This is like probably the best, like one of the best decks in the online tournaments. Like if I was doing an online tournament tier list, I would put Control in like S tier. It's like the only problem is the deck does not convert into IRL majors because it's not open deck list. It's harder to play in an IRL setting than it is in an online tournament. But it's kind of funny. It was able to win the tournament. And then, of course, it was able to beat Drago in the finals. It's a close matchup. You just kind of have to set up Pidgeot before they get Phantom Dive. And then you have to snipe their Prime Catcher and their Clone and switch. You can Mimikyu them. You have Wellspring Ogre Pawn, stuff like that. But yeah, Regidrago making it to the finals, not surprised to see. Still like the best deck right now. There's a Lost Box in top 4 here. Lost Box is good in online tournaments too. The deck's like fine. We do see it is playing Greninja and Water. I've seen a lot of Lost Box decks recently actually cutting the Greninja out of the deck altogether, which I don't know if I like that because like I get the sentiments like you don't need Greninja, but like I don't know. I'm not a fan of cutting Greninja and Lost Box. I think that card is too good not to play. Even if you're not attacking with it, just using the ability is really good. But it does play Terapagos, which is trying to use Crown Opal, which is an interesting attack. So yeah, cool stuff. Was able to get top 4. Then we had a Cloth in the top 4. I imagine the Lost Box hit the Drago and then Cloth hit Pidgeot Control, which Pidgeot Control should be able to beat Cloth if they don't get like completely run over. This Cloth list does not play the Drago or anything, just kind of straightforward list with the Genesect in there. Then we got another Drago here in top 8. Got the Exeggutor in there, got the Jamming Tower. And then we got another Cloth, of course, in top 8. This one does not play the Drago or the Zoroark or anything. It does have a Thornton in the deck. That's interesting. Does have the Genesect in there. It's interesting to see how Cloth decks are built. That's like kind of the one scary thing about playing against Cloth is you don't know what else they have in the deck, per se, because so many people are just trying out different ideas. There was a Snorlax Control here in top 8. Also, Snorlax Control Stall. And it is playing no Rotom or anything, no Mimikyu. It does have that Root Fossil, which apparently the Root Fossil is good against Cloth, because it can't get poisoned, right? Yeah. So this card can't get poisoned. So you can't get Peck Donked, and then you spread the energy out, and then you Giacomo them. That's how you beat Cloth, apparently, with Snorlax, with the Root Fossil in the deck. And then we do have another Moon in top 8. Just play double Pecker on EX. And got the V-Peck. Does not play Koraidon. But yeah, just got the Judge in there. Yeah. Turbo Moon doing Turbo Moon things. Cool stuff. I got the Graze Poke League Tournament next, which was also won by Cloth. Just this deck, like I said, is absolutely just on a rampage right now. Yeah, just definitely a deck you do not want to lose to going into Toronto for sure. It's definitely going to be popular. We got a Guardian in the finals. Interesting that Cloth beat Gardevoir. It might have been a Donk, might have been a Brick, because Gardevoir is favored into Cloth as long as you get to play the game. The problem is, yeah, you can get Donked really easy. That might have what happened, or maybe they just had some bad beats. Yeah. Guardy, it's a slow Guardy build again. Then we got a Miraidon in top 4. I still think Miraidon's a really strong deck right now. Very underrated, actually. This build is playing the Rotom in the deck for that extra bit of draw going first, which is kind of cool to pull out those bigger combos. Yeah, I still think Miraidon's in a very good spot right now. I feel like the deck is falling off a little bit, but I don't think it's actually a bad deck. I think people are just not playing it for, I don't even know, like just for some reason they're just not playing it. We got a Lost Box in top 8. And this one's got some interesting inclusions. It's got Devo, Miraidon EX with no hands, no Raikou, and then it has a Blood Moon Ursaluna split. It's got the Baby Blood Moon. Baby Blood Moon actually isn't a terrible idea within Lost Box, especially with Sableye Cram. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's also playing double Devo. Really respecting Charizard there. That is a crazy Lost Box pile. We got another Palkia Noctowl in top 8. So it's playing the Thornton. Got the Kieran in there. Okay, cool. And what else do we got here? Got the Thorns pulled. So this deck also has been doing pretty good in the online tournaments and also has been getting a lot of hype recently. I'm not too sure where the deck is going to fall going in Toronto. I'm assuming it's going... Dragapult will be popular in Toronto just because of this deck, and also the other Dragapult variants are going to cause popularity to go up. Interesting build, though. It is playing Klefki in there, so you have an extra pseudo turn 1 Thorns kind of card, and then you got the Canceling Cologne in the deck, which is interesting, too. Yeah, very interesting build here of the deck. Still has that Toedscruel on the deck. The Sables are in top 8. I like me some Sablezard. I love playing this deck. It's a little less consistent than the Turbo build because you're not playing Greninja and you're not as consistent. But it is still a cool deck. It still loses to Drago, even though Radiant Charizard is slightly better into Drago, I guess. But still not an overall like fantastic deck into Drago. But it's a lot of fun to play. It does beat Mirror because you play a heavier count of Sableye. Yeah, I like it. Just double it up on the Manaphy and the Cram and the Charizard, or the Sableye, just trying to be as consistent as possible. All right, cool. And then we got another Snorlax in top 8. This one does, however, have the Mimikyu Rotom Cornerstone. It is also playing that Root Fossil, which, yeah, I think the Root Fossil Giacomo Temple Sinnoh idea is, like, too good not to play right now against Cloth, which is kind of cool to see. All right, next up, we got the Deck Out Monday. This was another big tournament. It was won by Regidrago V-Star. The more simplistic approach of Regidrago is playing the Noctowl, Dragapult. No fancy attackers, no Gudra, no Exeggutor, no Haxorus, just sticking to Poltentina and Kyurem. Was able to beat Raging Bolt in the finals, which, Raging Bolt's usually favored against Drago, but Drago can still win. It's not impossible. They have Charizard Jamming Tower, still possible. Raging Bolt can also sometimes just not attack turn 1. Dragapult made top 4. There's the Dragapult Dusknoir deck here. It's a pretty solid deck, too. Again, there's 2 different ways to play Dragapult right now. I guess 3 if you want to include Pidgeot. And that'll probably increase Dragapult's play rate a little bit this weekend. But yeah, Dragapult Dusknoir is, not a bad deck either. Then we got another Drago in top 4 here. Once again, this one does have the Gudra and the eggs. No Stadium, actually, very interesting. No Stadium, but does have a Vacuum in the deck, so technically has a way to bump a Stadium. We got another Dragapult, and this one is a Dragapult Pidgeot. It's also a Dragapult Pidgeot with the Dusknoir in the deck. Very thin line of Dragapult. Does play 2 Dragapult and 2 Dracloak. But I guess you do have to fit the Pidgeot in the deck. I guess you maybe could get away with a 1/1 Pidgeot. Maybe. That might be a bit greedy, though, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's cool. Nice stuff. Is it better than Dragapult Thorns is the question, though. That's the big question if you're going to be playing Dragapult this weekend. Speaking of Thorns, there is a Quad Thorns in top 8, having Legacy Energy as the A-spec here. Quad Thorns is, fine. It actually, a few players from Japan were on it in Perth and actually did decent with it. Like, Daichi got top 16. So, people are still respecting the deck and still playing it, even if the deck, I feel like its stocks are a little worse right now due to, Lugia not being very popular. You got another Turbo Moon in top 8. Yeah, cool stuff. It's got the package. A lot of different attackers, actually. We see the Fluttermane, the Koraidon, and the Baby Moon. Got the Pekron in the deck, too, for the Poison Lock strat. Yeah, cool. Turbo Moon isn't bad at all. And then we got a Charizard in top 8 here. It's probably the old, just kind of the classic Zard. Got the Unfair Stamp. Only one Iono, though, is interesting. I guess 6 Fires are in the deck, so it's trying to make up for the... Yeah, I guess that's interesting. Yeah, very, very cool stuff. All right, moving on. We got the late night tournaments here to look at. The final tournaments in this video. Probably the biggest tournaments to consider looking at when considering decks and what the meta might look like going into a major regional. We saw Fabrizio here winning the tournament with Turbo Moon. So Fabrizio won the late night with Turbo Moon. Was playing the Koraidon and the Peck and the Roaring Moon in the deck for the single prizers. It's got the judge in there. Just, the Turbo Moon doing Turbo Moon things. Did win the tournament, which is pretty good, right? Late nights are very big tournaments, and was able to beat Charizard in the finals. They actually beat Sage Park in the finals, so that's cool. Sage Park actually playing Charizard with Precious Trolley, and has an Eerie in the deck, and a Fluttermane, and a Bibarel. So a really teched out Zard list here. Also, yeah, not playing Dusknoir. I just realized there's no Dusknoir in the deck. Does play Eerie in there, and Devo. So really respecting the mirror match. The Fluttermane is really good in the Lost Box, which is, not a great match for Charizard usually. But with Flutter Mane, you get time to build your board up. Yeah, Sage and Park always cooking. I don't hate the idea of Eerie right now because like Eerie's really good against Goldango and good in obviously in the mirror match. You go Devo Eerie, which I thought about. Like if I was playing Zard this weekend to Toronto, which I'm not, I would consider playing Devo in the deck for the mirror. Because like the mirror is really annoying to play against. When you have a Devo though, it's like you can just go Devo. They go Candy, Pidgeot, Zard, Knockout. You go Unfair Stamp Devo, and then you just kind of win the game basically from there. And then we got a Cloth deck in top 4. Once again, doing Cloth things. Got the Regidrago in there. We'll see if any more cool Cloth innovations come out this weekend. And we had Dragapult Thorns in the top 4 too. This one's got double Lost City. Got the Radiant Alakazam. Nothing too crazy in the list. Does have a Penny. No Turo. But yeah, cool. The top 4 looking like, 4 decks I would expect to see. I mean, Roy Moon won't be that popular, but maybe after Fabrizio's win this weekend, or at the late night here, we'll see the Roy Moon be a bit more popular in Toronto. A couple Guardies here. This one's got double Klefki and a Flutter Mane, so really trying to capitalize on that turn 1 lock potential. And then we got another Gardevoir here in the top 4. Yeah, also playing the Klefki Flutter Mane. Looks like it's more close to what Kato played. We got a Quad Thorns in top 8, of course. Playing Prime Catcher for the Ace spec. Got a couple Eries and Pennies in there to be even more annoying and disruptive. And then, let's see here. Another Cloth in the top 8, obviously. No Dragos or anything. Yeah, no Dragos. Just normal Cloth stuff. All right. That's the top 8 of this late night tournament. We can move on to this late night, the late night 228 here. And the deck that won was, of course, Control. Ella Blitzel winning with Control. It's actually a Snorlax Pidgeot deck here. So kind of being more of a stall build as opposed to like a disruption build. Yeah, got Secret Box Ace spec. Still is like Mimikyu and Luxray and stuff in there, but yeah, still does have that Snorlax. So trying to lean more into Snorlax. Was able to beat Drago in the finals. I would imagine that matchup's good. Strangle is playing Temple and Jamming Tower. Has the Goo and the Egg in the deck too. Yeah, cool. Yeah, close matchup, I guess, for both decks. So you set a Pidgeot, you can probably beat Drago. And then we have another Pidgeot control in top 4. Oh my goodness. The online tournament champion itself. This one's got the Kyurem in there, of course. Secret Box, got the Devo. Just more of the classic control build, no Snorlax, like what Bitzel was playing. And then, of course, we got Zard in the top 4 here. More simplistic Zard list. Got the Stamp, 4NS Ball, Dusknoir line. Pretty simple Zard 60 we've been seeing. Another Regidrago here in top 8. Playing Jamming Tower, no Temple. It's got the Egg in there. No Gudra, though. Not playing the Gudra V-Star. We have another control in top 8. Oh my gosh, so much control. Now this control is cooking. They got a Toedscruel in the deck to help a little bit more against stuff like Raging Bolt. And obviously showing off Legacy Star is really good too. I guess that's how you beat Drago. You can show off Legacy Star. So they can't get Prime Catcher or Switchback. But they can always kill the Toedscruel though. But it's a cool idea for sure. I guess, yeah, you can Thornton the Toedscruel back out, I guess, with Night Stretcher. I don't know. That's an interesting concept to help against Drago. But yeah, cool stuff. A lot of Pidgeot control in the top 8 of this tournament. Oh my goodness, actually crazy. 3 of the decks are Pidgeot control. And then speaking of stall, we got another stall. We got a Snorlax stall with 2 Klefkis in the deck. So the Klefki is an interesting concept to slow down your opponent. Because like Snorlax is good against a lot of the decks. It's just really if like stuff like Cloth kind of runs you over, it's like really tough. When you have a Klefki though, you can kind of slow down the game a little bit while you can kind of get towards your Snorlaxes. You can always penny the Klefki's up if you really have to, like if you don't care about them. But it is good to slow your opponent down where you can kind of build up the board a little bit, use Eerie, Misfortune Sisters and stuff. Just slow your opponent down. You're just trying to slow the opponent down as much as you can with that. And then the Klefki helps. And then we have finally a Lost Box in top 8. Another Pikachu build. Does play the Greninja, so it does have Water Energy in the deck. But yeah, another Lost Box doing good. Lost Box still decent. Not playing the Iron Hands, though. It's kind of the big omission from the deck. There's no Iron Hands in here, which I don't hate. Iron Hands is like, it's fine right now in the deck, but nothing too crazy overall. But yeah, that was the most recent week here of online tournaments leading into Toronto Regional. Some takeaways. Cloth really good. Control winning a lot of tournaments, but Control only does good in open deckless tournaments. It's not as good in the IRL settings. I would not expect to hit a Control deck in Toronto. Higher chance you probably hit a Snorlax deck than a Control deck. But yeah, Cloth still doing good. Gardevoir starting to make a name for itself again. Gardevoir doing good this week too. Roy Moon looking pretty good too. We saw a couple of Turbo Moon decks, so maybe Turbo Moon is a deck to consider going into Toronto to keep on your radar. The Dragapult Thorns deck having decent results too. A couple of Dragapult decks also doing good, like Pidgeot pulled, the Dusknoir pulled. So some very interesting results. I think the coolest deck we saw was obviously that Scovillain deck making top 8 in this Pumpkin Amy tournament. So that was really cool to see. The Scovillain deck is pretty spicy for sure. Definitely a cool one. For sure. That's probably, yeah, the coolest deck we saw in the top 8 of these big tournaments here. But yeah, there you go. Those are the online tournament results for this week as we had in Toronto. Of course, Toronto's looking pretty cool, man. We got a lot of cool things going on in the meta. The meta is wide open right now. So I don't know if you're looking to play to Toronto. Hopefully this video maybe helped you out a little bit with deciding maybe what you want to play or whatever. Just kind of just seeing the online results. Maybe it might impact and influence your decision of what you want to play to Toronto. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. Again, we're on the road to 19,000 subs. I'll leave a link to play.limitless down below. If you want to play in any tournament for yourself, maybe get featured in one of these videos sometime, definitely check them out down below. I'll catch you on another video very soon. Bye-bye.